This is our final presentation for Seed Lab. We're Team 6, the Adventurous Walruses. So in this lab, we were tasked with making a robot that would start at an unknown location and that had to travel to a set of prescribed points that were given to us. And it had to do this in as little time as possible, and it had to be within 1 foot of each of the final destinations. In order to solve this problem, we were given Actobotics parts, a couple DC motors, a Raspberry Pi, and an Arduino. And the Raspberry Pi also had a camera, so we could use computer vision to figure out our initial location and robot orientation.
In order to determine our position in the board, we decided to use Aruco markers. Aruco markers are small, distinct square dimension images that contain many smaller squares that are black and white. Aruco markers have very distinguishable patterns that cannot be easily found in normal environments. In addition, Aruco markers have an easy-to-use computer vision library which can help us determine distances and angles from the robot to the beacons.
After getting the distances of the beacons from the CV, the robot was localized by drawing 2 circles around each of the beacons and seeing where they intersected within the bounds of the board. This point gives us the robot's initial location within the board.
Based on the information that we have from the computer vision, we send the commands to the Arduino using I2C bus. It's either that we turn or we drive.
Since we needed to detect 2 distinct beacons to find the robot's initial location, we took the real-world visual input from the camera while spinning the robot slowly in the counterclockwise direction until 2 beacons and their distances were detected. This camera data was processed on the Pi, the intersecting circles problem was solved to determine the robot's initial location, then the Pi sequentially sent turn and drive commands to the Arduino until all points were visited.
A feedback controller was implemented to control the movement of the robot in one of 3 possible movement states. Spin velocity control, which took in a set point as the speed in radians per second that the robot should spin, angle control, which turned the robot a specified angle, and distance control, which drove the robot in a straight line until the distance was reached. For the angle and distance controller, a proportional controller was made, which fed into a wheel velocity controller for each wheel. This inner loop velocity controller was comprised of a proportional integral controller and was also utilized in the spin mode. When the robot was in drive mode, a difference controller was in place between the 2 wheels to ensure the robot did not drift from traveling in a straight line. The velocity controller used the encoders on the wheels to count the number of encoders that had passed in a specified sample rate. It converted this value using the controller to a PWM signal sent to each of the DC motors.
So one of the challenges we faced was the accuracy of the Pi camera distance detection, and one of the solutions we had for this was using a function called estimate pose single markers from the Aruco library to help improve our accuracy of the distance that we were seeing. Another challenge was the angle detection that we were from the beacon, or how we were facing it, the angle offset. And to solve this, we used the field of view of the camera and the pixel distance from the center.
The challenges the team faced in localization were the accuracy of position and angle, also the speed of localization. And to resolve these issues, we had to calculate the angle offset based on position from beacon. Also, we had to add a 4th beacon to detect the location faster. The last challenge we faced is the consistent I2C data transfer. We had to add 5 seconds delays between commands in order to avoid skipping sending commands between the Raspberry Pi and Arduino.
So the final results of our robot was that we were able to accurately find our starting position within 3 to 5 inches. Our accuracy of traveling to the path was within 1 foot of all points, and our time to complete the circuit was 58 seconds.
There are several improvements we can make to improve our design in the future. The first improvement is to get rid of the 5-second delay between sending I2C commands. We originally did this so that we would not miss any commands sent, but in the future we could just check to see when the I2C receives the command. In addition, in the future we can use better wheels to prevent slipping, which will allow us to start and stop faster and also be more accurate when we get to our desired location. We can also use a magnetometer, which will allow us to be much more accurate in turning, since we will not be relying on counting encoder counts while we are turning on the wheel.
2, 1.
We are the Adventurous Walruses, and we
Thanks
approve this
Thanks
video.
for watching.
All right, we have to redo that.